Greetings everyone, welcome to my Discord bot tutorial series, and in today's video we're going to build AI-powered moderation board for Discord server. So let us dive into the demo now. I'll go ahead and start the moderation on this channel, and I'm going to declare the channel name as a parameter with this command. So it's going to be in general, and you can see the bot has been registered for this moderation. Now over here, I have a beta user account to test this process. So this user is going to be toxic in the channel, and the AI will detect the level of the toxicity here, and then basically take some actions based on that. So let us go and do that. So I'm going to use the other user to write some toxic words, or be like make an insult to any other users sort of stuff. So, and you can see as soon as that person typed those words or phrases or sentences, the bot detects it, the AI detects it, and then deletes the message with the appropriate output, or in this case, the user gets the warning by mentioning them. So a couple of times they will try to do it. So you can set how many times you want, but in my case here, I have set it to at least 3 times. They will be able to do that, and then the action will be starting, which is with the kick and with the ban. So let us see that in action. And you can see and there you go, another one sort of stuff. And we can see the user actually got kicked. So you can see the user is no longer in the server, and he or she has been kicked from the server, which is in this case myself. The beta user is no longer with us, and now we're going to invite that person, or rather if this person joins with us again. So I'm going to go ahead and join. So you can see the beta user has joined, and let's say that person again tries to do something funny and continues his shenanigans in the server. So, and in this case, the user has been now banned. So let us go ahead and see that. So if I go to Discord server settings, and if I go to bans, you can see this user has been banned now. On a 5th attempt, when he tried to use all of these words that are detected by the AI, the person has been banned. So I'm going to revoke the ban here, because we're going to need that user to do some testing in the further line the tutorials. So now let's dive into the prerequisites for the project. So in this tutorial, as usual, what we're going to do is clone the repository, which the link will be down below in the descriptions again, like I do it for my previous tutorials. So those of you who are familiar, you probably will be familiar with these sections too. But I would highly recommend on this tutorial specifically to watch further on, because we are not going to build that AI from scratch. It is not possible within this tutorial scope. It has to be, if I want to build right from the scratch, I will have to train the models and etc. and slow down, and it's going to take on its own series. So it won't be possible to do so. So hence we're going to use a API service that is providing that sort of checks that you have seen on the tutorial. So for that, we're going to have to do some setups, and you have to watch along through like in the midsection of the video. You probably may not need to code along, because the code will be available in the repository by the time I upload the video. However, it is also recommended that you watch, so you will understand what exactly going on and how we are actually interacting with the API and making the calls and doing the moderation further on. But you just do note again that you have to watch the video section where I set up the Perspective API. That's the service that is providing the AI moderation, and you will have to follow along their docs in order to get started with this. So I will go ahead and clone, and let us open the PyCharm. So you can go ahead and open your favorite editor or ID in this case, and we can go ahead and clone that. As usual, I'm going to get it from the VCS. I'm going to pass in the URL for that, and I'll go ahead and clone. I'll pause the video till it clones, and once everything is finished, then you will be prompted with to create a virtual environment. Now, if you're using any other IDE or text editor in this case, then ensure at least that you install every packages that are available in requirements.txt. The link will be down below again for how to do that, which is create virtual environment. But if you are unsure, then you can watch my previous videos where I have actually explained how to do that. So I'll go ahead and press OK in this case, because this will automatically do everything for me from this point. So I'll go ahead and pause. We're going to head over to our Discord developer portal and going to copy the bot token. So let's go ahead and copy right here, which is under the Discord developer portal and the bot sections. Then going to go back to the PyCharm, back to the .env file here, and going to replace the token here. Now come down to main.py sections. We're going to scroll down all the way to the line 26, and we're going to uncomment here because we want to see if there are any errors that are occurring should be sent to our Discord. It makes our life a little bit easy. So I'm going to go ahead and save everything. And this goes for setting up the bot and the file structure overall. We will come to the coding section in a minute. Now we're going to jump to our API section, configuring the API. So you can see on my browser, I have visited this website now, which is Perspective Developer site, basically where we will look into the doc and register ourselves to get a key. The link will be down below in the description, which is developers.perspectiveapi.com. And I'm going to go ahead and click the get started. So I assume you will be following along. So let's do that. And you can see they have put a nice little video to do that. So step one is to sign into my Google account and go to my Google Cloud platform and create a new project. So you can go ahead and click here to go to consoles, but I would recommend you to go to your cloud account if you don't have one, because you will have to create one. And just to let you know that Google Cloud do give you free credit when you sign up for the first. So if you've been using already existing account, that I would recommend you to create a new one by doing so with the Google's browser incognito mode, and then creating a new account and do that so that you don't actually get charged for anything that you are unsure of, right? So let us go and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and open a new tab, and I'm going to type in is HTTPS and then called cloud.google.com, and I'm going to go ahead and do get started for free. And yes, I accept. No, that's fine. So do that. This is my dummy account. So you can already see they give you $300 for 90 days. And is individual, and I will go ahead and now fill in all the information here. So I will not enter any card payment information, right? So you also skip that. Once you have successfully registered yourself, you will be sent to these Google Cloud consoles. So every cloud services have their own consoles, such as AWS or Azure. And you can see over here, you will be getting 300 credit to do that. So I'll go ahead and select the activate to get the $300 credit. So now you can see we have a dashboard, and over here, if you go down to this drop down menu, you can see all your projects because we're going to need a project ID. Now, what happened is that when you do follow along with the creating the Google Cloud account, at some point you may be asked to automatically create a project for your first project, or you probably have to create one. Whichever the case, just to let you know that you will need a project ID, so therefore you are bound to create a new project. So go ahead and create a new project. If not, then your project ID will be available right down here. So if I go back to the prospective developer sections, you can actually, if you have Google account, cloud account, and you want to go to consoles, all you do is click there and it will take you to the console. That's what the step one is to. So and the URL for that is console.cloud.google.com, which will also redirect you to your Google Cloud. Now that goes for step 1 and 2. And now the step 3 and 4, basically step 3 is basically getting the project ID and whatnot. And project 4 is to request the API access. And so you want to go ahead and click that, and it will open up a new form where you will fill in all your details. And at the end, I believe here, which is Google Cloud Project ID, this is where you will be inserting this ID right here. So if you go ahead and copy this and paste it here, and that will do. So I will fill those information now. So you go ahead and do that. But do notice that it takes about 30 to 40 minutes in order to verify your details. In some cases, although they do declare there that it takes about an hour to do the checks, but I got mine within 20 to 15 minutes, but it could vary for you. So you have to be a little patient in this case. So I already have another account that I have registered, but this is just a step to show you how to go through all this stuff. Otherwise, you don't want to go look for any other sources while this video becomes useless for you to give enough information to get started on this. So I will go ahead and close this. And once you get your confirmation that you have the Google credentials, the services enabled for you, then the next step is to go to your Google API credential page and basically enable the service. So basically, if you click over here, which will take you to your credential page, and from the top menu, if you select create credentials, you can see API key. So that's the documentation is asking you to do so. So you're going to create that, and which will give you the API key. Now, this key would not work at the moment because you will be given an option to choose that service, right? So the prospective API. So you can see there's some screenshots there which will explain you this process. Okay, so that should be good for setting up. And once you have that API key, you probably have to copy that key. So if we go to the pie chart right here to env, And if we push enter right here, you can see there are other credentials. That's my bot token, which you follow through. The client ID and the client secret is for another tutorial that I did. And if you're not doing that, what you can do, you can actually remove here and you can say API key equals to and that API key. So copy and paste it there. And I hope that makes sense till now. Obviously, there are some information that I cannot share, guys, for my security purposes. I do not want any of this information getting leaked. So hence, this is why I created a dummy account to show you the process. But obviously, I do understand that everything didn't go through step by step, because I'm technically not really using this account. It's just to show you that you can create one for yourself and how to register for the perspective successfully and come to the section of where we actually code. Because if I directly start coding, then you would not know what happened in the previous sections. So do follow along with the screenshots that are provided on the doc and the detailed, and just follow them along and you will not get lost. All right, now let's dive into the coding section. Let us go ahead and create some files to get started with the coding section. So I'll go to API sections and command sections and the database sections. Right click on the API sections, new Python file, and I'm going to call this perspective. Let's go API. And that will do. Cancel here. Go to command sections. And I will create a new Python file there. And I will call this AI moderation. That will do. On the database sections, right click here, create a normal file, and I will call this moderation.json, and another file, I will call this karma.json. Perfect. So we will come to those in a moment. 1 second, let's go ahead and add parentheses there. Same for the karma there, because they're JSON file. Hit save all, close them out, and I will hide these sections for now. So the focus area for now would be Perspective API, where we will connect the API now and make some calls. We were in this browser, and you will reach to the section where it will be simple requests, and then the first demo they have given you, the sample code, is in Python. If you scroll down, there is a Node.js too. So we will start with those, and this step 1 is to install the Python library. So I'll go ahead and click on that. Which will redirect to their Google's API client libraries GitHub repository. If you scroll down, you will find where there's installation sections for Mac, Linux, or Windows. I will go ahead and choose this one because as I'm using Mac. If you're using the Windows, go ahead and do it for the way it's shown down there. All right, I'm just going to grab this pip install Google API Python client, minimize the screen, open the terminal, and paste it right there. And this will install in our environment that we have set up here. Perfect. That goes for that. And now we can grab the source code, the sample code, and which we will modify. And I'll close this repository down. Run the following commands. So from there till there, I'm going to copy and paste it here. Now, as I said, I'm going to modify, so let's do that. So I'm going to define a method, which is going to be perspective API, and which will take chat data from the user and do the analyze. So I'm gonna indent them right here. I don't like the way that is there. Right, we probably won't be needing JSON, but let's give it a test. Reformat, which is fine. I will close this window, and now let us bring the API key. For that, we're gonna bring our old friend .env here to load the env. From .env import load .env. Come down here where we're gonna say loading data from .env file. So we know that. So load env, and then API key is equal to, and we're also gonna import, I guess, the OS, and gonna come down here, os dot get env, and the key is API key. There you go. Perfect. And yeah, the API key right there, which we have set up in the env file. Now, what we're going to do is call this one over here. So that is there, which is, I'm just going to get rid of this one because that's not what we're doing. And I'm going to call this right here. Perfect. And you can see the formalized way of their doing it is basically passing in two parameters, which is the what type of the toxicity to return, and a sort of the text itself right here. So what I can do f string right here. I'm going to remove this and pass in the chat data. And let us go ahead and test this right now. So I'm going to call this perspective API method itself, and going to pass in sort of like a text right here. So literally we can say, I don't know, something like this. So just to apologize in the advance, guys, I'm going to use some of the vulgar words, which I normally don't use for my users. But this is only purely for the demo purposes. Again, I'm going to save all and just run this specific file and see what we get. Right, so it returned a JSON data because we have asked it to dump. Therefore, so you can see there are some attribute scores, then toxicity, and then basically span scores, and then within there we are given the following data. And you can see there are some thresholds values right there. So that is okay. So, and this is the values returning, which we're going to write some logic and do that. So that's fine. I'm just going to put this down a little bit. And we're going to modify this further on now. So from this point, I'm going to set some thresholds, right? So set thresholds for when to trigger a response. Cool. And let's go down one more. And let's take some attributes for that thresholds, right? So attributes and then thrash false equals to, I'm going to create a dictionary right here. The first one is going to be insult, which is going to be 0.75, and then go down again. Then second one, it's going to be this toxicity, and gonna set that to 0.75, and then gonna be the spam. Now guys, I did not just come up with this. They do have all this mentioned in the documentation. So basically you can prioritize which one do you want to trigger for the API to respond back to you with the text. So the text will be identified either as insult, spam, or there are a number of things that they do. So if you go down to the documentation sections, they have described this over there. So you can actually take a look and pick the one that you want to use. So I'm only gonna pick this 3 at the moment and set the threshold value. You can even set the threshold value as you like. So if you are very sensitive, you can set them when people hit 40% when they're typing in, and do whatever you want. It's your server, your rules, right? So insult and then spam 0.75, and that's fine. Now, if you look here, they expect the data in certain format, right? So you see right here, and then some empty parentheses there. So let's go ahead and do that, because it needs to satisfy that. So we can say this is the format that API expects. And we go down here, we're going to take an empty one, which is requested attributes. To apologize for the spelling, I'm just focusing on explaining the topic right at the moment. So I'm going to say for key in attributes, because the dictionary comes in key and values, so you should know that. I've explained this many times when I'm inserting the JSON file on my previous tutorials, so I expect you to know that by now. So request attributes, and then the key will be passed in as the format they expect. There you go. And that should be fine. Yep, that should be it for this section. So I'm going to come down there, and I'm going to modify this a bit more. So I'm going to get rid of this, because we are getting the requested attributes there. And I'm also I don't need the JSON too, like I said. So I'm going to get rid of this. No need for that. And that should be for this. So I'm going to take that data in a new variable, or new dictionary in this case, equals to this. I'm going to append the data there. I'm going to say for key in response, the response that we're getting from there, and the one we are looking for. If you recall on my terminal, I hope I have that. No? What about the run terminal? Yeah, there you go. So I'm looking for attribute score right there. So thank God I had that. And that's for that. So I'm going to iterate through that. And I'm going to say data, the key value is equal to, I'm going to assign the values there, whatever the return. So don't worry, guys, if you are just a beginner with this and you're unsure on what's going on, the way they're expecting and the way they're interacting, this is the way to go. But there are other ways also you can do this without the dictionary, but I think this is much better and cleaner. So I'm going to do attribute score, and then the key itself. And then we're also going to look for the summary score. So we want to ensure that all the values that are acquired are greater than. So the value are greater than our attribute thresholds, which is basically this. So one, because we only want, this is our limit, right? So when user exits this limit with their insults or whatever, the spam and whatever they're typing, and when this reaches that threshold, then we should trigger, right? So let's do that. Attribute threshold, and I'm going to return. Actually, let's print and test that everything working. So I'm going to print the data, because everything is getting appending to the key of within that data dictionary. So perspective API, yeah, that's fine. And let's take a look. I'm going to hit save and run. Okay, greater than, it's not supported. Float let me see what I did wrong here. So data is equal to key and response. Data key is equal to response attribute key summary score value greater than threshold. Oh, sorry, threshold keys, right? Perfect. Apologize for that. Hit run. There you go. So you can see there are 3 of them, right? Insult, toxicity, and spam. And you can see these are set to false. The spam is set to false because this wasn't the spam. When somebody typed the following phrase right there, it was more of an insulting someone or being toxic in a chat. So they're triggered set to true. So that's the logic that we just implemented. So when that happens, we want something to do with that, right? So that will do. So I'm going to return the data here. So that perfectly works. I'm going to remove that. It's all right, guys. Don't worry about too much this thing. It takes time, quite a lot of practice. Play around with such things and you'll get along with the other API services, because not all the API services return values and such thing are pretty straightforward. Sometimes every documentations are different, all the requirements are different. So I go ahead and hit this save, and now we can move to the command sections right here. Oops, I'm not going to create a new file. I'm going to open the AI moderation file, and I'm going to import some of the stuff, because now we're going to create our actual process of the commands, and then what we're going to do is do that later. I will lay out the logics and we'll build up from there. It'll be much more easy. So import JSON, come on, from discord.ext import commands, and from APIs, I guess APIs, yeah, dot perspective API. We're gonna import perspective API, and let's take a class AI moderation, which takes code commands.cog. Perfect. And then come down and define the constructor with the dunder methods, which is init. Come down here. I'm going to say self dot bot equals to bot, and then which takes the bot itself. This is pretty much what we've been doing all along, because our entire program is modular, which is the best thing you can get out of it. Define setup. I will say bot. Come down, then bot dot bot dot add underscore cog, and then we're going to call our AI moderation here, the class itself, and then it takes the bot. Perfect. And let's go format this. Perfect. So it's nice and tidy. I'll go and hit save. So the first command we're going to design, it's more often I'm literally getting the input from the command provider who wants to monitor this channel. So this is the channel, for example, let's say, and the person will type in, the owner of the server would like to monitor this channel, or he can have n number of channels here, like more than this, 1 2 3 4, I don't know, number of channels, and he would like to do that. So we're going to also ensure that he or she is able to do that. And so this is the first implementation. Next is, in today's tutorial, I'm going to cover a few edge cases because I did get some requests from some of you guys where you run into some issues where user input were not validated, where what happens when somebody try to re-register these channels, then you because I did not cover this on my previous tutorial, but I did the same implementation because I'm keeping the same logic so that you do learn and not do something out of this entire scope. So hence today I will do those covers so that you can implement on my previous tutorials yourself and you get to learn this too, right? So that those are the stuff we're going to do. So first thing first, storing the data channels and the server. And the server could have multiple channels, and ensuring that the channel doesn't get registered for the same server. And another thing we're going to take care of, that what happens when bot leaves the server, then we also need to remove that from our databases, right? Which is our text file at the moment. But same logic can be implemented on any other SQL database or NoSQL database. So let's go ahead and do that. Add commands dot command, and I'm going to also check for the permission. So like I said, it has to be the owner dot has permission, and I'm going to set that to administration, admin ISTRATOR is equal to true. Perfect. And then define the function async def start moderation, which is going to be the self itself, and then ctx the context, and then the mod channel. So the user has to provide that. Okay, and let's go down here. So I'm going to take the guild ID, the guild it's coming from. I'm going to say ctx dot message dot guild ID. And then it's the mod channel. So mod channel ID is equal to, and I'm going to clean that some, and I'm going to do that with the integer right here. So I'm going to take the int for typecastings, and then mod channel dot strip, and I'm going to remove those stuff. Now, I do know that these are the stuff that comes with when you put in, so that's why I'm cleaning up right now. So let's go ahead and open the file. So with open, and then it's going to be data. Oops, sorry. For Windows, you're going to put / twice, but you will get the source code in Windows version. But if you're on Mac OS or Linux, it's / single one. Databases / moderation. So moderation dot JSON. I apologize for today's typos. I'm having too many of them. And then R as file. And here we're going to say the moderation data equals to JSON dot file, JSON dot load. I'm gonna load that file. So there you go. So data is loaded, and I'm gonna say moderation guild equals to start string, and gonna get the guild ID right here. Perfect. That's all good. I guess we don't have to type a hint over here because we will be storing it as in a string, I guess. So, but I'll leave that for now. So let's go ahead and do that. So first thing first, update existing moderation data, or else basically add new data. Moderation data. So let me do the easy one first, the else, and then we will do the if. So I'm just gonna say if, I'm gonna pass it. We're gonna come back in a minute, so don't worry. Actually, let me just complete the first line. So if moderation guild in moderation data, and I'm gonna say else here. Else moderation data, which is going to be the keys moderation guild, equals to for a new ID, which is going to be the string right here. So str and then mod channel ID. Channel ID right there. Perfect. And I'm gonna write the file. So with open, it's gonna be the databases. Sorry. Oh God, what's that? Databases slash. I guess I can just get this from there rather than typing it. I'm gonna remove this. And then write the file as new moderation data. I'm gonna come down here and gonna say JSON dot dumps. Actually, it's dump. I'm gonna dump the moderation data. Oops. Moderation data itself, and the new moderation data, and indent to 4. Pretty simple, like we've been doing it. Now to the if sections, we're gonna come down here and continue building our logic. So I'm gonna iterate through iterate item in list, and that the entire thing into list. So moderation data dot value, so it will give us the key value pairs, and that should do it. I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna say if str mod channel ID, if not in the item, I'm gonna come down here. And then I'm gonna say moderation. If they're not present, right, then go ahead and add. That's what I'm trying to say. Moderation data, and then the key itself, which is the moderation guild, plus equals to the string itself. So str mod channel moderation. I think it's mod channel ID. Mod channel ID. That is fine. And then go ahead and write with open. So I'm literally gonna copy this line, to be honest, because the time is short. If it's too long, no one's gonna watch it. And we're gonna say right, and here it's gonna say as update underscore moderation data. Perfect. And gonna say JSON dot dump. I'm gonna pass in the moderation data, then update moderation data, and then indent it to 4. Perfect. That will be fine. And we also want to let the user know that they have been registered. So await, sorry guys, await ctx.send. And here we're going to send the HTML rules. So I'm going to take a emoji, which is the white, I believe it's white check mark. White check mark, we'll check it. If it doesn't work, we probably have to go to Discord and get it. And then I'm going to put it in a bold here. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to say ctx.channel. So whatever the channel it is in, getting registered. Channel. I'm also I'm gonna wrap this around backtick, so it's highlighted which channel is that. And here I'm gonna say channel has been registered for moderation. Perfect. It's perfectly fine. I'm just gonna push enter. Okay, spelling mistake. Right, perfect. So that happens. And what if this channel is already present, right? So then it's going to do the following. So await ctx.send. I'm going to get this one right from there. Put it there, and I'm going to modify it a little. Okay, why do I have this right here? Shouldn't be there. Right channel, and I think this emoji is going to also change to no entry. Right, and this channel is already registered. This channel is registered for moderation. Or I can say the channel already. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to think. That's fine. So this is the case. So if this happens, or else send the user that, because we're not gonna do anything else. Let me see if anything else needs to be covered. So that goes for the start moderation. So let me go ahead and test this so that we want to ensure this works. We're gonna worry about the API later. Let's see if these things works. So I'm gonna run the bot this time. So I click on main.py and hit run. The bot should come online. So now let's go ahead and register this channel. So start moderation and then general. And okay, we see there's no response here. Let's go back. Start moderation. Let me see. Oh, okay, I did not set any response, but let me see the moderation database itself. So this is the server ID and the channel ID, which is perfectly fine. So let me quickly also stop this and implement because we want to let know the user that it's been registered right there. So I'm gonna copy probably this one. and paste it right there. So we know when they're registered. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this because I want to see this everything in action. So everything is working perfectly. Going to remove that and probably save all. I hope everything's good. And that's all good. Come back here. I'm going to copy this. And then general. There you go. It's register. So if I try to register again, general, say channel already registered for my moderation. So if I go ahead and verify that, that hasn't been registered, so you can see only one channel is there. And also we're going to test for multiple channels, so we should be able to append more than one. So let's go ahead and create this second one, which is, we'll say tester, and let's do the command right here, and I'm going to say tester. Okay, has been registered, and let's take a look at the data. You can see there are two. Perfect, all good, mate. It's all good, it's perfect. So I'm gonna stop there. And now what happens when somebody wants to stop for that specific channel? So we want to get rid of that, right? So we're gonna do that now. So let's go ahead and do that command. Let me see, where are we? Perfect. It's going to say add commands. Commands.command. And we're also going to check for commands.has permissions. And I think it's this, which is the administrator is equal to true. So nobody else gets to play around with that. And I'm going to say async define and say stop moderation. Stop moderation is going to take the self, then ctx, and then the mod channel. Which channel do we want to stop by? So channel there. I'm going to come down here. It's going to say mod channel ID equals to, and I guess I'm going to clean that again. Yep. And going to say with open. So I'm going to read the file again. So I'm just going to grab that from there, guys. So I'm saving some time. Read the file. And then I'm going to come and get the key and values. So for remove keys and then remove values. Yep, in moderation data. So moderation data dot values right there. And gonna come down here to say if str mod channel ID in remove values, not the keys, the values, then go ahead and do that. So remove values dot remove, and we're going to pass in this. So remove that specific channel ID from there. And yeah, and then probably write. So I'm gonna get the write from there actually and modify it with moderation right. And I'm gonna say update moderation data, which is also perfectly fine. Moderation indent. Perfect. And we're also gonna notify our users. So I'm gonna get this one. And let's go down. Actually, one step right there. And I'm gonna say that channel has been removed now, right? So channel has been removed. So let me get rid of this. Has been removed from moderation. And what happens that the channel was never registered, right? So we're going to cover that also. So now you can see all the edge cases that I'm covering that could potentially occur. What if this user is trying to remove, but he didn't even register himself to begin with? So that we should tell him that go ahead, go register yourself. I'm going to say no entry there. And say channel is not registered for moderation. Perfect. So now we will go ahead and test this actually. Reformat, save all, and hit run. And let's go back to the Discord. And we're going to stop this one, right? Let's do that. And yep, there you go. So the tested channel has been removed. So if I go back here and open the moderation, you can see that ID of that channel has been removed. So if I copy right there, copy ID, and if I go down, and you can see this ID no longer belongs there. Cool, just to show you. Perfect, guys. So that implementation is also done. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save all, come out of there. Now that goes for stop and starting. And if you recall that I also mentioned that I'm going to cover one more edge case, which is basically what happens. Let's say I'm pretty much expecting this entire command to be, or in this case, the AI moderation service to be you should be able to implement your existing board and make this available to your user, right? Although I'm not really concerned about the JSON file that I'm storing, you could use SQL file in this case and change it. The logic will still stay the same, right? So then what happens when your user actually kicks your bots out? Then you don't want to actually store those data, right? So we want to ensure that we remove that. So I'm going to say add commands.cog.listener. I'm going to come down here. Async define on guild remove, I believe. So on guild remove. And which is going to say take this self and then guild. Right, perfect. And once that happens, that specific thing happens, I'm going to update, I'm going to remove that guild out of there. And the entire data should disappear, right? So this entire thing should go away. We no longer need that. So I'm going to say with, actually, I'm going to copy this because this will save some time. And I will modify it here. I'm going to say read and then moderation data, then file, then come here. And we're going to say moderation data.pop. And we're going to pop that str and then the guild ID. So which is the guild method that you're passing in, guild.id. So pop that in, because as this is in string format, that's why I'm typecasting it. And then finally save it, right? So I'm going to get this one right here. Actually, I'm going to get this one because it's updating, right? I'm going to say with open update, I guess, file. Update file. Perfect. So once we remove, it should update the file with open databases, blah, blah, right. Yep, that's all good. Looks good to me. Go ahead and hit save. So we're going to test it now. So I'm going to stop this, reboot the service. So let us kick the bot now. Right, and let me go back there. Let's go to the meta. And here you can see it's empty now because we did not have any other server. We were using this bot. That was the only server. And once we kicked it, the entire array got, so the guild got removed basically. So there will be no data linked to it. So in this case, you will not have any future issues. So this takes care of a lot of things, guys, from here to there. And I hope you learned something, because I could have just done like I'm doing, like simply just add and remove, and then literally leave it. But I did all these additional cases so that you actually learn something, because I also get requests for this, so therefore I covered it. And the video is getting longer because of that. But anyway, we are very near to ending it. So now what we're going to do is that actually implement our logic for the API. So where we actually going to send that, get the result, and based on that result, we're going to take few actions, such as kicking people, warning people first for their behavior. Then basically at some point which is the karma data, where we actually going to store their karma like a value. So if they reach, like, for example, 3 times, which is the number 3, if the number is greater than 3, then they will get a kick. And if the number is greater than 4, if they come back and they continue doing it, then they will literally get a ban from the server, right? And I also know that you can implement something like a reset value, so that every month, even if you punish a user and you want to have some sort of a forgiveness sort of function going on here, so you want to reset them after punishing them for a month, you can actually implement that, where you can actually set that for, let's say, end of a month, that you can take the calendar modules in Python. That's one great thing, logic I'm telling you. You can actually practice this. This will be a good practice for you. Sort of a homework. See if you can do this. So end of a month, import the calendar modules, learn about the module itself, read the documentations, and see if you can implement that on every end of the month, where you will check everyone's karma, and literally, and if some sort of condition is met, then you can reset their values, right? So you can do that. But I'm not going to cover this, but it's just additional work if you want to do it. So let's go ahead and do that. Our final bits, say commands.cog.listener. I'm going to come down and I'm going to say async define, and I'm going to say on message, which is going to be self, and then literally the message itself. Perfect. Gonna come down here, and we need to check that the channel that we're monitoring, the data is present or not. If not, then we're obviously not gonna monitor and run this on message, because it's gonna listen, right? It's a listener. It's gonna listen to the messages, and we don't unnecessarily listen to every messages. So to do that, we're gonna say read the file. So I'm gonna again get this one from there. So copy, paste it, and what I'm going to do, actually I will read this later. I'll leave this one. I need to do a few checks, actually. I just remember, because I need to see that the bot doesn't see, the bot shouldn't read messages from other bots. And number 2 is that we should not also consider the prefixes, right? Otherwise, prefixes could be considered as any other, punishment too. So let's see. If not, message.content content dot starts with, and let's do the exclamation mark here. And we're also going to check for, oops, I made a spelling mistake. That's what I'm thinking. Why is it not coming? MESSH message. Yeah, that's perfect. Go down. Yeah. And if not, message dot author dot bot. So it shouldn't be the exclamation mark, which is the prefix of our bot, and it shouldn't be also the message from the bot itself. Now we can continue where we wanted to. So I'm going to push that in, indent that in there. Perfect. So we can read and do the checks. So I'm going to go down. Now I'm going to say for guild IDs and channel IDs in moderation and moderation data dot values. Then I come down here and I'm going to check for if str and message dot channel ID. So message dot channel, nope, not content, need the channel ID. So channel dot ID in channel IDs. So this is what we're checking before we go ahead. So channel IDs. So if it is, then go ahead and do all the checks for insults and whatnot. And if it's not there, there's nothing to do. So also one more thing I'm quickly going to cover. We're also not going to check for GIFs, images, and emojis sort of stuff here, right? So because that's not what we're doing here. So I'm going to say unsupported message content. I'm going to come down here. Oops. Say if not message dot content, then just return basically here. Perfect. Gonna come out of there, and now we're actually going to write our main logic. Yeah, and where we actually going to set all the stuff. Cool, perfect. So let's pass the content to the API. Moderation result equals to perspective API. So we're gonna call, let me see if I import it. Yes, it is imported, and go down and I'm gonna say message dot content. And now I'm going to iterate and see which category it matches, right? If that is it, then return that category. And I'm going to do that in a way, basically write a comprehension. So it is moderation category equals to, and write key in key value, and say in moderation result dot items, and say if value in true. So iterate through all the items and check if that value actually exists in here. So if value is true, sorry, return the values that are true. That's what I meant, sorry. So return the value that is true. Okay, let me see what I make. So for key for and not in here. So key for key value, and give it a little space, value in moderation results. Yep, that should be fine. So that's just one-liner comprehensions. They're really useful, to be honest. They come in handy. So now when it does happens, then so basically we know there are three categories, right? There are insult, toxicity, and then spam. And if any of those occurred true, it could be two at a time true, one at a time true, and in my case, I'm just considering them. If the number of times they will appear, we'll give one karma to user, which means punish, which is basically one, give them warning and count their karma as in one. Literally, that's what I'm thinking. So let's go ahead and do that. But you can, if you want to break down each of them. So for spam, you have separate punishment for, and if the other cases happens for insult, then go ahead and do that too. That's perfectly fine. You can change from this point, but for me, I'm just going to keep it there. So any, I'm going to say category, category. In moderation category for category in, and I'm gonna pass in all of them. So the first thing is insult, and then the toxicity. Because remember, the reason because I'm doing the both list, because they returned as a list, right? If you look, they returned as a key value pairs, and when you take them out, they become their own kind of like sort of stuff. So that's why. So toxicity, and then comma, and then spam. Perfect. So now we can go down here and we're going to open the karma.json file and start doing all those stuff. So let's do that. So with open and then databases / karma.json. And we read, so we're going to read it as karma file. Yeah, that should be fine. Karma file. So I'm going to say karma data equals to JSON dot load and it's going to be karma file right there. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And I'm also going to get the user. So user karma equals to str message dot author dot id, because we need to keep track of him, or he or she, whoever is that. Message.author.id. I'm going to come down here. Now we're going to check if the data is present in there. So if that user actually is there. So if user karma in karma data, I'm going to come down, and there are three things going to happen, right? We're going to ban the user, the highest. Then it's going to be kicking the user, and the lowest most is the warning. So one user. So these are the three things that we're going to actually take care on these sections. So we will start with the kicking the user. Um, Actually, I'm also thinking that should I cover the another edge cases? Basically, what happens because if you think about when we started the moderation, like if there is no data present, then we add that. So I probably will have to do the same here because if what if the user just joined, he's new in this event. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna pass. So let me go ahead and cover this as well as so else, because this is shortest section. Karma data, oops, and then it's gonna be user karma equals to 1. So it's gonna get, if it's the first person and he misbehaves, his first karma is gonna be set to 1. And we're gonna say with open, and we're gonna pass in the databases, oops, slash, and then the karma.json, and then write into that file as new karma data. Perfect. So that's what we got. And then json.dump with the karma data and the new karma data, and then indent, oops, equals to 4. Oh yeah, comma's missing there. Perfect. Spelling mistake. Should be good. Perfect. So that happens, and what we're going to do for the first, obviously we need to warn the user. We're going to delete the user message. So await message.delete, and I'm going to pass in delay is equal to none. There shouldn't be any delay. Perfect. And then come down here, and I'm going to say await message dot, and then message.channel.send. Yeah, channel.send. We're going to send it to that specific channel. And what we're going to do, I'm going to take the f-string literals here, and I'm going to mention the user. So here is the message.author.id, mentioning the ID. And I'm going to wrap that around with this little thing, arrows. And I'm going to put the @ there. Perfect. I'm going to add, oops, that should be inside. And then we'll put emoji there, which is going to be warning. And then 4. And I think I'm going to put this on the bold too. So I'm going to say 4 insult / toxic / spam in chat. Feel free to write whatever you like, guys. I just literally need to finish the tutorial. Whatever I can think of my head, I'm actually putting it. But the thing is that the mentioning the user is that something you can get useful out of this. But whatever you want to, feel free to write. And so that should be fine. We will test them in one go. So let me go ahead and finish the rest. So that's the edge case. So basically what happens if the user is new, then we give them 1. He's the first time. And right, so let's do the ban now. So for the ban is if the 4, so if they reach 4 times, literally, because every time it's going to iterate through, so on 5th, so if they have the 4th here, then they're about to reach 5th. On the 5th time they're getting banned, basically. So and if you want to increase that, go ahead. If 4 in list karma fourth in list in comma data, comma data dot values. Then go ahead and we're gonna ban the user. So I'm gonna actually bring this line right here just to save some time. And then it's gonna be read here. And I'm gonna say karma kick. Oh, sorry, karma ban, actually. So the user is about to get banned. And JSON.dump, and it's going to say karma data, and then the karma ban, and then indent is equal to 4. So whatever is going to happen there, we're going to read it as a karma ban, and we're going to actually pop that user ID. So literally what happens when they get banned, the when they get banned is literally we're going to remove their data because they're banned and we're not sure when they're going to come back, or we're going to allow them to come back. In that case, there's no point of keeping their data, right? So what you probably want, it's best to get rid of their data and then literally delete the message and then ban the user, basically, so that we are not associated with them anymore. So that's the logic. So karma ban karma actually, hang on 1 second. Sorry guys, I'm not gonna dump it here, I'm just reading it, right? Sorry. So I'm just gonna karma ban user equals to, we need to get the user, so JSON.load, and then karma ban, and yeah, that should be fine. Now I need to come out here, so I'm going to say karma user ban dot pop, and then basically popping the ID, so which is the str, and I'm going to say message dot author dot id. Perfect. And now we're actually going to write. So I'm going to copy this one. I'm just going to say that to W, so set it to W. And then I'm going to say here is updating the karma, right, after the ban. So I'm going to go down here, and now I'm going to say JSON.dump karma data, comma, and then update karma ban, and then indent to 4. Perfect. I'm going to a little space there, so it's all visual. Although I don't see any point of sending messages at this point, but if you want to log somewhere this stuff, then you probably have to create a new command where you are logging if there are any messages are getting deleted, so you can keep an eye on your logs. I don't think any other stuff to add here. Oh, I'm also going to remove the pass here because I don't want to pass when this triggers. And then go now for kick, right? So else if 3, so on a 4th time in, and I'm going to get this one in list. Then what happens? So literally what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this one. I'm going to modify this because that would be easier. And then karma kick. Right, so we're going to kick that user. I guess also when we're kicking, we actually will just want to delete the message and then kick the user. Also on the ban side, I did not finish. Sorry guys, apologize. So let me go ahead and quickly finish that off. So I'm gonna say await message.delete and then delay delay is equal to none. Perfect. And then literally I'm gonna say await message.author dot ban. So ban the user. Perfect. And yeah, that should be fine. So similar logic, but what's gonna happen is that we're gonna also have to increment karma by 1. Yeah, because when you're kicking, we also have for the next stage when they come back, and if they misbehave, then we need to obviously trigger the ban section of our code. So to do that, I'm also gonna read here. Yeah, I'm gonna read the file, and I'm also gonna add, not really read here. Basically, we're gonna append because we're gonna append the number. We're gonna keep the data. So yeah, that should be fine. And let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna remove this. I guess that would be no point. And I can do karma data, and what I can say is user karma plus equal to 1. So it's gonna increment by 1 when that happens. And then we're gonna do with open and write the file right here. And we already had that open, so it's fine. The karma data plus 1. Okay, perfect. And we're gonna say update karma kick and update it here, and then update. So what's that? Once that happens, we're also going to trigger these points, but rather than ban, it's going to be kick. So I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna say kick. Perfect. Yep, that should be fine. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to make sure that everything is going correctly here. So that goes for kick. And now for the 1. So I'm home. Let me just double check. So add 1. Yep, that's perfectly fine. So I should not get any error for that. And now for warning, like normally what happens is that they're once, twice, thrice, third time, basically they're just gonna get warning. The messages are gonna get deleted, and then literally they're gonna receive a karma every time they're doing it. And then literally I'm also mentioning them. So let's do that for warning user. We'll say or else, because I don't see any other cases to cover here. Else, I'm gonna get this right here and then update it. Right. So we're gonna write and we're gonna say new karma data. Oh, it's actually we're gonna say update karma. Or we can say update karma warn. Right? So that's just the warning section. So that's perfect. And then literally once it's done, and we're gonna delete the message as usual. But this time we're gonna send a warning to them. We're gonna delete the message and then send the warning, which is basically here. Just gonna have this one. Feel free to put whatever you like. Sorry guys, not here. Right over here. Can I get this one? Perfect. So they're gonna receive the warning, the message, and then they get the karma. So perfect, cool. Let's do a test. Hopefully everything is good. If not, then we probably have to spend a few more minutes, guys, for debugging. So hang on with me. So I'm gonna stop and reboot. So I'm gonna say start moderation and then channel general. And you can see it has been registered. So let's, on the beta account, we're going to the test user account, we're gonna try to see if something happens here. I'm gonna use the beta user to test the implementation. And there you go. So we are able to detect, our bot is able to detect the word and then literally warn them. So let's go ahead and do it again. So, and also quickly, let us check the karma. So that user has received one. So good. Let's do another one. And should be 2 now. Yeah, that's all going good. So I just wanted to test, because remember on the one sections, if I move down further, on the one section, we're actually incrementing the number by 1. So let's go ahead and continue. Okay. And then now this point, they should get kick, right? So I'm just trying to write same thing to see everything's working perfectly. Perfect. So they got kicked, right? There is no error. So the user is no longer with us. So what I'm going to do now, invite that user back again. And you can see the user has joined the server. And let's say he actually continues to do what he's doing. So at this rate, he should be dealt by bot. There you go. So now you can see he did the same thing, but didn't receive any warning and so on, because that's how we set it to. And literally he was banned. So let's go to server settings, go down to ban, and you can see the beta user is added to the ban. So I'm going to revoke the ban because it wasn't his fault, because I'm the one who's testing it. So you can see the implementation, guys. I hope it made all sense, and I'm sorry that it is too long, but this is only if you really want to go through line by line each code. That's why I did take some time out to explain here. And yeah, and this video, I guess I'm gonna end this series with this video. I do not have any much things to add to Discord bot series anymore. If I could think any, I will definitely update the series in the future. And if you have any requests, then you can come down to my server. The link will be down below in the descriptions, and you can give your suggestions right here. So we have a lot of suggestions that we take from the user end. So you can give some suggestions for the videos, and that will be great, you know. But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all in the video with the new series, new video, new topic. And I guess this should be enough for Discord bot. And I really enjoyed doing this series. And if you also did, then give it a thumbs up, share, and literally subscribe if you haven't. And that really helps a small content creator like me to bring this content out to you. And I will see you soon again. Thank you and bye.